What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we're going to be talking about my regrets, specifically some of my sales regrets. So I don't know if you know how it works on this channel, but we are not funded by a large industry of any kind. We are not purchased by any other company. We are independent gun reviewers, and because of that, other than Patreon, for the most part, we have to sell firearms in order to buy them. So a lot of the cool guns I get on the channel that I get to shoot, even if they are mine, I often don't get to keep them, and I have to end up selling them. And because of that, in order to get newer and newer guns for review, I end up sometimes having to sell guns that I really didn't want to. Or, worst case scenario, I sell a gun I didn't think I cared about, and then you end up, pawning after it over and over and over until you buy another one. So today we're going to be talking about my biggest gun regrets. We're going to be talking about 5 guns that I wish I never sold. Now we're going to base these guns off of pretty much just my specifications alone, what guns that I like the most and what guns I miss the most overall, and then maybe a little bit on availability and price as it pertains to them going upward. So what I mean by that is if I sold a gun for a certain amount of money 2 years ago and now all of a sudden in 2021 it's worth 3 times as much, I'm probably going to regret it a little bit more. Other than that, it's basically going to be just what I liked most. So let's get right into it with number 5, and it is the most recent, so it's the most open wound to me. It is going to be the PTR 9CT. Now the PTR 9CT is a phenomenal gun. It is my favorite MP5 clone I've ever shot. It is as good as an MP5, if not better. HK fanboys, you can cry now if you like, but it does come with a Picatinny rail, an M-LOK rail, and all sorts of other accessories that I feel make it as good or superior to the original HK MP5. And I don't say that with no experience. I actually own an H&K SP5K right now. The PTR 9CT is a clone of the full-size MP5, so it has an 8-inch barrel. It comes with a 1/2 by 28 threaded pitch on the front, so you can put suppressors and all kinds of fun stuff. And it does come with the tri-lug mount, which is tried and true. It also comes with the drum sight and the hooded front HK sight, along with the paddle magazine release, all the features that many of the HKs in past years didn't come with at all. But the biggest benefit to it, aside from the fact that it is just as reliable and accurate as the standard MP5, is that it comes in for a lot less money. Usually half to 1/3 the price at around $1,700. On top of that, it's also available. If you go to your average gun store, you are a lot more likely to find the PTR than you are a standard MP5. And since it looks the same, functions the same, and is 1/3 less, it's really hard not to love the gun. There isn't many guns in the world that are more fun to shoot than a semi-automatic version of a very popular sub-gun. 9mm carbines are extremely fun to shoot because they're a little cheaper to run. The ammunition's a little less costly than something like a 5.56 or a 308. You can shoot steel up close, there's very little blast. And on top of that, not only they suppress well, but they're also a really good gun to have beginners shoot because the PTR in particular is not a blowback operated design. It actually has a roller delayed system, just like the MP5, so there is very little recoil. So when you take somebody out to the range for their first time to shoot, it would be pretty fun to take them out with a gun that they played with on Call of Duty and is really fun and really easy to shoot overall, and the PTR fits that bill completely. On top of that, if you want it to be your only gun, it is still more than reliable, accurate, and lethal enough to use for a serious situation like home defense or even duty use. In at number 4, we're going to be talking about a gun that I really liked and I really wished I didn't sell, and it fits so many niches for me in particular that I'm surprised I did sell it and I've regretted it ever since. To make matters worse, it's actually more money now than when I sold it, a little bit more than $300 or $400 more actually. We're talking about the Staccato C. Now, one of my personal carry guns and one of my favorite guns of the last couple of years has been the Staccato C2. The Staccato C is actually the single stack version of that, which I actually reviewed before it. What I like about the Staccato C is that it's extremely light for what it is. It's actually a 2011 style single stack 1911, which sounds a little strange, but it's a single stack, but it has a steel slide, an aluminum frame, and then a polymer grip, making the weight on it very low at around 25 ounces, which is as low, if not lower, than any other 1911 that comes in a commander size. So it's a very lightweight polymer frame 1911, and I'm the biggest 1911 fan in the world. They're like my favorite gun ever, and I love the C2, and I love the C, not because it doesn't have as many rounds, but because it's a slimmer profile and it's a little easier to carry overall than the C2. And I'm pretty confident with just having 10 round magazines with one of the tube. That's more than enough ammunition for me on a regular basis. And on top of that, I reload relatively quickly as well, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. It has a 3.9-inch barrel, and it is a single action design just like a 1911, so it does have a grip safety. Most of the time I hate grip safeties, but I do like the 1911 overall, so I put up with it. It had a really good set of controls, ergonomics were on point, and you can also buy aftermarket dark side precision lowers for it, which I really like as well. It shot amazing, the trigger was awesome, it was unbelievably accurate, and it was one of the fastest and most accurate carry guns I've ever shot, probably only eclipsed by the C2, and the reason for that being is that it's actually the same gun, it just has a little bit more capacity. Now in 2021, you can actually get red dot versions of this gun. So when I do go and buy another one, it will probably end up having a red dot mount on it, and I'll probably put a Trijicon RMR Type 2 or an RMR CC like I actually have on my Staccato C2. Even if you don't want the red dot version, it does come with Dawson Precision fiber optic sights, which just happen to be my favorite sighting setup in the world. So if you're talking about a gun that's 25 ounces, accurate well beyond 100 yards, and shoots as fast as you can get the trigger going, it's a pretty good buy, and that's one of the reasons why I miss it. In at number 3 is one of my favorite guns of all time, and I only recently sold it to make way for a couple of other projects that I'm doing. It is the Glock 26, or the Fat Baby. The Fat Baby is one of my favorite Glocks of all time, but I have so many Glocks and I just didn't make room for it because lately I've been carrying the 43X, which is a little bit more comfortable for me overall. It has a slimmer grip, but it has a longer grip. And on top of that, the Shield Arms magazines now carry 15 rounds, so the 12 round magazine capacity of the Glock 26 plus the larger grip just wasn't as appealing to me over the long haul. That being said, ever since I sold it, I absolutely miss it. If you're unfamiliar with the Glock 26, it is a 3.5-inch barrel Glock that carries 12 round mags. The Gen 5 comes with 3 magazines in the box right along with it, and the total weight of the gun is only 21 ounces, making it very light and very concealable while simultaneously being very easy to shoot. The Glock 26, because of its ergonomics and because of its overall design, has a very light recoil for the gun that or for the size of gun that it actually is, and you can pile off rounds really quickly. On top of that, the Glock 26 is extremely customizable. It's a Glock after all, so all the holsters, magazines, sights, triggers, slides, whatever you want, you can add or subtract at your leisure. And I'm a big customization kind of guy, so I like to, especially for my carry guns, kind of mold them to what I like the best. So I often do a little dremeling under the trigger guard, put the back strap on, all that kind of stuff, and Glocks are really good for that particular niche. The Gen 5 is my personal favorite just simply because it comes with an advanced recoil system, comes with the back straps, it doesn't have the finger grooves, and it comes with front slide serrations. So again, when I do buy another version of the Glock 26 Gen 5, I'll probably be getting the MOS version, which wasn't available when I originally bought mine. That being said, the Glock 26 is an absolutely wonderful carry gun, one of my favorite guns of all time, and again, that's why I regret selling it. For number 2 here, I wanted to bring out this guy. So this is the Tactical Sport 2. The gun that I regret selling is obviously not this, but it is the original Tactical Sport Orange. The TSO, as I like to call it, was one of my favorite guns I've ever reviewed here on the channel, and arguably the most accurate iron sight gun I've ever shot. If you're unfamiliar with that gun, it is a single action version of the initial Shadow series from CZ, which is basically another variant of the CZ75, which is a gun that's been chugging along since, you guessed it, 1975. The reason for that being is because the ergonomics and trigger are second to very few guns, and it is one of the mainstays in the competition circuit. The Tactical Sport Orange was a gun that was designed for competition in mind, very similar to its new predecessor here. It has a 5 1/4-inch barrel, single action only trigger with a manual safety and a red fiber optic with a blacked out rear, making it extremely accurate and extremely fast to shoot. One of the reasons for that is because of the internal slide rails that run on all CZs. But even over that, the Tactical Sport has a longer barrel and a longer dust cover with a lot of weight inside it, so the recoil is very minimal by comparison to almost any gun that you'll shoot, besides maybe a custom 2011. It was very ergonomic, came with a magwell, came with 3, I think, 20-round magazines that also had added base plates on them so you could reload much quicker. It came with some pretty cool looking orange aluminum grips as well, and an overall fit and finish and function that's really second to none. As I said, I think the gun shot, mechanically, I think it shot about 1.5 inches at 25 yards. That was like the guaranteed accuracy, but I could run my 6-inch plate rack at 50 yards at will with that gun, and I even managed to do it at 75 and 80 yards a few times, which I have very rarely been able to duplicate with other review guns. It had front slide serrations, it had great controls, extended magazine release, extended slide release, and an extended safety. On top of that, it had some checkering on the front strap, rear strap, and on the top to prevent glare. All the features and functions that you could look for in a competition gun, the Tactical Sport Orange had. It even came in a multitude of calibers from 9mm to 40, and I believe 45 as well. Now that the new version came out with the different grip profile, you can actually find the Tactical Sport Orange for a little bit cheaper than you normally could, making it definitely a great buy for anybody out there looking for an extremely accurate and fast gun. Downside to the gun is it's a little bit expensive, coming around $1,500. However, it is more than worth it, and man, do I miss that gun. All right, before we get to number one, I want to mention just one honorable mention that really sticks out to me. I'm sure there's lots of guns that I really regret selling, but one in particular comes to mind that almost made the list, and it was difficult to choose between that and actually the Staccato, because they're both 1911s. The 1911 that I miss the most, that I regret selling, is the Colt Competition 1911. That particular gun came in for a great price. I bought it for around $650. It was a 9mm 1911, and I absolutely love shooting, and I love the fact that it was an original Colt. Now, one of the reasons why I miss it the most isn't just because of how good of a gun it was, but because now when you look for them for sale, you can find them for about twice as much as what I paid for mine. So that being said, if you could still find one for the price that they retail for, it's a great gun. However, it seems unlikely. Now we'll get into number one here with a gun that I absolutely miss the most. That is the CZ Scorpion Evo Micro K. Now that particular gun was a gun that I didn't purchase as a micro. I wanted one so bad that I actually had it made before they came out. I found out they were coming out a couple months in advance, so I sent my barrel off to be cut, and I put a whole bunch of HB Industries parts on it to make it look like the micro. And then I ended up selling it because I wanted to finance some other things, and I told myself I would buy one of the factory versions later. If you're unfamiliar with the CZ Evo Micro, it has a 4-inch barrel, and it has an HB Industries M-Lock handguard on it. It also has a pistol grip, comes with folding sights and a folding brace. It has some really affordable and very reliable magazines that go for the Evo series, and it is very lightweight and it's unbelievably reliable. With a blowback operation, it has a little bit more recoil than something like maybe a JP or an MP5. However, for the price that I paid for it, which at the time was $600, it functioned extremely well. If you look up any of the reviews on the Scorpion, it's one of the most reliable 9mm PCCs that you can buy on the market today. And it said, again, for the price that it was when I purchased it in I think 2018 for $600, it was a hell of a buy. Folding brace, 9mm PCC, takes suppressors easy, very light, easy to shoot, and all around looks super badass. I mean, I love the way that gun looks. It looks right out of an action movie. It looks right out of a sci-fi movie, and it just overall was one of the funnest and most reliable guns I had. As a matter of fact, it was actually my backup PCC if I went to matches and stuff like that, because of just how unbelievably reliable and how much fun to shoot it actually is. I told myself I was going to buy another one and I was going to SBR it. That way I could put a vertical grip and a stock on it and all that stuff. I wanted to use the factory Scorpion stock, and I just never got around to it. And then all of a sudden 2021 happened, and whiz bam, everywhere I look, they're $1,200 to $1,800, and I just can't justify paying that for one of those. So as much as I want the gun, I'm not sure when I'll actually be able to get one. That being said, I'm sure I'll cave in eventually, sell a couple of guns that I don't like, buy that gun, and then regret selling the guns that I sold to buy it. That's how being a gun owner works after all. You just sell stuff to buy stuff, and then you buy that other stuff later. Oh well, circle of life, and it's a lot of fun. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please support your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.
Putting up new targets, putting up new targets, putting up new targets. Hey, 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 hey.